back, everyone. This is going to be the Baconian Cipher. So the idea of the Baconian Cipher is that you enter your plain text, and then you actually add a secondary text which will actually be seen. So for instance, if I add like and subscribe as my plain text, then I want to also add a secondary sentence that means nothing, really. It's just a kind of a throwaway sentence. So this is a completely unrelated sentence and will look innocent to everyone else. There's nothing to see here. What's going to happen is immediately when I typed this in, it converted every letter to these 5-letter equivalents. So an A is 5 A's, all the way down to a Z, which is BABBB. And of course, you can actually have each individual letter be a different individual code. However, the original looked like this. And so the U's and the V's were together and the I's and the J's. So I continued that here. Feel free to change up the code and have them be separate. So in that, it automatically turned like and subscribe into this. Then what happens is it maps all of these letters to the letters in your secondary sentence. So this needs to be the same size or longer than this text here. Then what it will do is for every A that maps up to it, it's going to be a lowercase. And for every B, it'll make that letter an uppercase. And if you see, this is actually just a bit longer than the original text is. And I can prove that by going to decode. And if I take that exact same sentence it works back for me. And we have like and subscribe AA. So it just padded the end with 2 A's. And the reason for that was because they were lowercase. And therefore we have these just extra A's, which make it look like that. Now for the code. In the HTML, again, pretty simple and basic. We've got our introduction. We have the plain text plain text text area. This allows me to put in a lot of code. We have our card that has the secondary sentence, and then the chart table, and then as well as the encode decode buttons. And then we have our ciphertext card that has our step 1 and our step 2. And then we load our JS. For our CSS, we have some pretty simple selectors here. The elements of our table, the table itself, and that is for our chart. We have our plain text and ciphertext text boxes, our step 1 output, a wrapper, encode decode button, and the secondary sentence input. So in this one, I did hard code into a map all of the values. And this is where I got this information from. I also have our regex, that's just to make everything uppercase. And then I have another one that is just for all uppercase and lowercase letters. And then whether it's encoding or decoding. So to display the alphabet chart, we have the A's, B's, C's. And again, I'm just grabbing it from that map, the alphabet encode and alphabet, just getting it. I'm doing that all the way through. And then grab the alphabet chart in our HTML, and equal it to the different rows. That's what I'm saying, these two are the different rows. To encode text, again, we clear out, or we set it to, we set our plain text to uppercase. We grab that and set into our text. Step 1 output, we clear out. And we go through and just encode each of the letters from our plain text. So we cycle through that. We get our secondary sentence. We really don't care about if it's uppercase or lowercase because we're going to morph that. For as long as the length is greater than 0, we cycle through the, or we set the ciphertext to be clear and clear it out. We set the index to 0, and for the letters in secondary sentence, we're gonna have the lowercase BA and uppercase BB. So we have a test where we're looking at, so we're using the alpha char. So if we go up here, that's just, it needs to be an alphabet character, so it can't be a period or a special symbol. And we're going to test it against the secondary sentence charat letter, so the character. If it passes, then we add it to the ciphertext. And then we just let it know whether it's uppercase or lowercase. If the corresponding index of the step 1 is a B or an A. And then we increase the index and move to the next one. Otherwise, we just add whatever the character is. So if it's a period, we just add it and go through. To encode a specific letter, we do the RE test, and that's just to make sure it's capital. To decode the text, we get the text from the ciphertext. We look at we clear out step 1 output. We cycle through the letters and then decode each letter. And so for that, if the alpha char.test character, so we double check to make sure it's a capital or lowercase. And if it's uppercase, then it's B. If it's lowercase, it's an A. And if it's not any of that, then we just return nothing, or a blank or an empty string. So that's what happens there. And then we cycle through the step 1 output, and we modulo it by 5. So what we're doing is we're trying to actually make sure we add that padding in when we're decoding. That's why we saw that AA when I decoded. And so that's what this is doing. It's making sure that it is a multiple of 5. And so if it gets here and it's not, then it's just going to add A's until it is. Then we take the secondary sentence input and we make it the text to uppercase, just so it makes it a little easier to read, potentially. Step 1 output, we grab the step 1 output, the inner HTML. As long as it's greater than 0, we cycle through, we clear out the plain text. for every letter, we then get by value the encoded alphabet, the step 1 output, and substring. So this is coming here. So we're going to pass in the map and search for the value. So this is where we want to get back from, say, all 5 A's. We want to get back A. Let me go back up in here and show you. So let's say I want to give it BA, BBA, because we want to get the Y back in decoding. That's what this is going to do for us. So it's going to search for it, and until it finds it, then it will return it. Then we have our encode decode. This is just a function that gets called when we toggle through encode or decode with the radio buttons. We have our set encode. And then we have our Baconian load, which is what happens when this gets loaded at the beginning. Right here. So this window, the add event listener waits for load, and then we'll run this method, or this function. That's what we have, and as it said, like and subscribe.